Hi, looks like we are live. And all right, so exciting. I am just looking into various options and wondering what I can do. If I can see some people popping in, if you can see me and hear me, if you can hear me, please let me know. Please type in the chat. Welcome to Invoking Your Inner Magdalene sharing circle. Happy Magdalene's Feast Day. I am excited and I hope this is working. So I am looking for a confirmation from any one of you. Please let me know if you can see me or hear me. And okay. And in the meantime, I am going to quickly share this link in the Exploring Femininity Sisterhood group for anyone to join us. So welcome sisters, welcome to Invoking Your Inner Magdalene sharing circle. Happy Magdalene's Feast Day. Thank you for being here. I would love to know if you can hear me and where are you joining from? I am here right now in India and it's 11:30 p.m. and I'm excited to be sharing this online space with you. Let me know if you can hear me. And in a moment, we will begin. Just posting the link. Hey, Heidi's here. Judy's here. Can hear. Okay. Um. Yes, Judy. I'll catch you later. London. Yes, Heidi. Lovely to see you. I'm excited to be here with you. South Africa. Liz. Hi. Okay. Great. Thank you, sisters, for being here and sharing this day together. I am excited. I am curious to know if you can share with me in one word what brought you here today. I am really curious to know. So feel into your present and let me know what exactly or what brought you here today. What is present for you right now? And okay. And I'm just done sharing this. All right. So excited I get to do Facebook Live. Sorry, not Facebook. Okay, the comments are coming through. So before we begin, I just want to put out a disclaimer here that Magdalene has been a very sensitive topic, especially if you have been raised in a Christian background, in a Christian family, and her entire concept in itself has not been portrayed to us specifically by religion. So it may trigger some of your core beliefs. And the reason I am putting this disclaimer out is because when I started discovering, when I felt called towards the Magdalene presence, and I started excavating more and more information, I felt like a deep sense of betrayal and anger towards my family, my upbringing, the church, patriarchy, and all of that. So, yes, so this could trigger some of your core beliefs. And, but I'm also sure that if you're called to be here, then I know that um, you are feeling that um, magnetic pull, I would say, towards the teachings of the Magdalene, and specifically towards remembering the path of the Magdalene, and seeing and looking beyond what has been traditionally taught to us by the religion. And so I invite you to embrace this. We will spend an hour together. So I invite you to embrace yourself with compassion for this journey that you are in right now, because this is a journey um, that is required for us as the feminine collective, and our ancestors have walked this path and created this path, and we really require an open heart to fully embrace um, what is being called. Um, when I was tuning in, so we've been in our circle, if you're part of the Exploring Femininity Sisterhood group, we've been celebrating this Magdalene Feast Day for the last 4 years. And I have her theme running in my retreats and circles as well. And one thing that I know is that this is not the path for the weak one. And I know that if you are here, then you are one of those courageous souls who have chosen to respond to the calling of the feminine collective. So thank you for being here. Hi, Shalini, you here? Lovely to see you. I'm gonna quickly. Hey, Melanie's also here. I'm so excited to see see you all, sisters. Martina. Liz has I've been getting a lot of messages from the universe about the divine feminine getting into touch, and then thank you. Okay, welcome Sabina, welcome. Bye Judy, I'll catch you later. I need to feel stronger in myself. So, okay. So my courageous sisters, let's begin by a heartfelt presencing. I know Magdalene part is the heart, a part of the heart womb connection. And if you are watching right now, wherever we are together on this day, there are various circles going on. The feminine is, in her full essence today, throughout the world, and we are tapping into that weave of feminine interweb. And I would like us to just presence into that and take some breath together wherever we are, so we can feel into the resonance field. um, yeah, so let's begin by taking some deep breath into our heart. You can take a deep breath in through your nose, into your heart, and exhale through your mouth. You can bring your hands to your heart, close your eyes or keep it open. Truly feel guided by your own presence, because the reason you are here is to activate your inner Magdalene, and she is in herself the priestess. So let's take a deep breath into our heart and exhaling one more time into our hearts, feeling the various fields of the feminine in different parts of the world, different time zones, coming together today on this day to celebrate this beautiful Christian dark goddess, this divine feminine Christ mentor. And let's go a little bit even deeper, taking a deep breath into our belly, through our nose, and exhaling through our mouth. Deep breath into our belly, feeling our belly expand, and exhale. And one more time, tuning in and breathing into our bellies, just coming back into our body from wherever we are, whatever we've been doing, all the errands, all the things we have to do before, after. In this moment, let's simply get present. Welcome, Noreen. Welcome, Kali. Sabina. Let me know if you can hear me. So the Magdalene part, a lot of us women are drawn towards this part. It's like a deep hunger for some kind of knowledge that we already know that we know. And on the other hand, we don't know. So there is a really interesting phenomena happening in the world right now where women are feeling this pull towards the Magdalene path. And there is like a deep hunger for the knowledge of the feminine force that has been suppressed in the traditional religion. And what I'm really excited to see is a lot of grassroots movements that are happening, honoring the divine feminine, reclaiming um, the feminine within and around. So, thank you for doing this work and thank you for presenting that in your life. We can hear. Okay, can hear loud and clear. Okay, great. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for confirming. So, the Magdalene, what is something interesting to notice is a lot of women, specifically grown up in Christian families, are feeling pulled towards her teachings right now these days. And um, I'm really curious to know if there is something in your upbringing or if in your teachings of from your childhood that has affected you to probably inquire who is she and why is she, or something that did not feel even right to you when you heard about Magdalene being the prostitute. A lot of women are wounded by their religion, and they are specifically called to the Magdalene part. And let me know if this resonates to you. I know it's true for me because I grew up in a Christian family, and a lot of text did not make sense. Although a lot of I was very sincerely going to church, reading the Bible, and believing in all of that, and a lot of good things, blessings happened, miracles that I witnessed. Also, on the other hand, I did not like a lot of text written in there, the specifically the role of women. What about the mother? Because it was always God the Father, we born sinners, and all of that. So these things were quite present, and it was kind of a part of me that knew that something is not right here, but I just didn't know at that time how to go about it. And interestingly, when it was only in 2016 when Magdalene was given the honor of not being a prostitute and instead given the title of Apostle of Apostles. So that actually triggered my curiosity and brought a lot of rage. It kind of felt like, who the hell is the Vatican to decide and give her a credit, give credit to a woman figure that existed 2,000 years ago? I mean, so I began to read a lot of books about it on the subject, trying to put pieces together. Um, and soon I interestingly noticed that I was receiving a lot of messages from, I would say, her presence intuitively. So I could feel the truth of the story, the legends, the myth, and every new piece that I uncovered through a lot of texts and the sacred sites that I traveled to, reading local texts, felt true to me. So the reason I'm saying this is that after all of this is kind of a legend. Stories told and written by others, or channeled, and all of this information is kind of a story. And what we need to do is to discern what story feels true to us. So again, whatever, we live in an era where the history, the history is has been a story that has been put forward to us, and we believed, and we followed, and we began to live our lives according to that. And when the interesting thing about Magdalene's stories and the legends are that it's not a science or something scientifically proven, but every time when these stories come forward, women feel resonance. A lot of women felt resonance. So it is a time for us to choose what story we want to believe in and what story we truly feel resonance with. So that's where I want to just leave and create the foundation, because um, you may or may not relate to some of the stories, and you may, if you come and approach the Magdalene path from a linear perspective, yes, there are a lot of texts and scrolls discovered as well that can give you some logical answers. However, a lot of it is channeling through various sources, just like every other sacred text. I want to read some comments here. There is an invitation here, sisters, as well. I would like it to be interactive, so please feel free to share anything that comes up, because, as I said, that a lot of us are feeling resonance with this entire Magdalene's path, and if you are sharing your piece of the heart or experience, it is enabling another woman to see that aspect in herself. Heidi, I wanted to take Mary Magdalene as my confirmation name in the Catholic Church. However, I was told I wouldn't be able to take Mother Mary. No offense to Mother Mary, but yes, that's true. She was shown as the innocent, the virgin one, whereas the other, Mary Magdalene, became the prostitute. Well, Madonna was not allowed either. All right, okay. Yeah, a lot of women who have been wounded by the religion specifically. I had several issues around some texts and teachings from the church that said that women are always lower than men, and there are some biblical quotes, which for me was super annoying, and I did not understand why no one cared about the feminine, why there are not stories about women in the Bible, as much as there are the histories. So for me, that was a big trigger. I could not understand that. So I just want to talk a little bit about the background, about, like of this Magdalene story. And there is a famous saying that says that history is written by the victorious ones, or the literate, or the powerful, educated ones, or the elites, let's say. So, in fact, that's what has been happening. If you actually look at history, it's been written by the ones who are victorious or who were the elites. So, it is interesting experience being an Indian and um, studying history here, and then spending 15 years in England, and discussing history with some of my friends there. It was quite amazing to see how the same stories had different um, perceptions, and they were differently portrayed. So, as I said, that history has been written by the victorious ones, and in history there has never been the her story. There has never been the role of the feminine that has been shown as something to be applauded for. So today I want to honor Magdalene by sharing her story of truth, of presence, and how we can embrace some of the aspects that Magdalene is calling us in this year, specifically 2020, to embrace, look within, and discern. So the official story of Jesus' life was crafted carefully by the men that participated in a council of Nicaea, which was literally around 300 years after the death of Jesus. So a council was created to write down some of the stories of his life to create this religion, Christianity. And there it was debated and decided which versions and which aspects of the stories would be told and would be shared with the public based on the agenda of the council. It was also around that time that the prominent role of women in the early in the church began to be erased from the history. So interestingly, that was the time when the patriarchy was, kind of rooting itself and slowly kind of erased roles of women that were quite prominent before these texts were written, produced, and circulated. Um, in fact, the first Christ Church was founded by the disciples of Yeshua, which was the real name, the Aramaic name of Jesus, in Glastonbury, by Mary and the disciples upon Yeshua's instruction, and that was the first Christ Church, which was destroyed. So there has been a lot of fear against the role of women at that time, which continues to be, which was conveniently removed. And it was also then in 590 something CE, there was a Pope, Gregory, who decided to pronounce Magdalene as the prostitute. And apparently there were discussions that Magdalene, there came evidences that Magdalene was quite rich, and they they kind of imposed the idea that Magdalene was rich because of her ungodly acts, and acts of prostitution was her means of income, which is why she had the money. Because women at that time were not considered rich or wealthy. It was all women were at that time considered property of the men. However, interestingly, nowhere in the New Testament or in the Bible or any of the ancient texts there is a suggestion specifically using the word that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. So you see that aspect of degrading women has been in the psyche of the feminine for a really long time, and to the extent that in one or the other ways, it really affects our being in the 21st century, where um, we are afraid of being judged or being outcasted. In the 1940s, what also happened is that a cache of documents came into surface in the Egyptian desert that included some of the Christian texts and the Gospel of Mary, where a lot of teachings of Mary Magdalene was revealed, and it revealed some revolutionary texts around Mary Magdalene being a teacher, a leader in Christ consciousness, a space holder for Yeshua himself to carry out his ministries. So since then, there has been more and more tales and more channeling that have come into revelation, and a lot of books have been written based on those channeling, which was the time where the teachings of Mary Magdalene became more and more prominent in the West. So there were several tales that were also written, like her marriage to Jesus, her mothering their daughter Tamar, she traveling to Western Europe, coming to the Holy Land of Avalon, and spending the rest of her life in south of France, and finally ascending, just like Yeshua did, in Glastonbury in the Abbey. So again, you may think like, oh, okay, great story. Yeah. Once again, when you read any of the sacred texts and specifically stories of Magdalene, I ask you to really become discerning and feel into your heart, like if it makes sense to you. Because I know each time I have visited the sacred sites of Magdalene, I really felt resonance to the fact that she was present, specifically in the Abbey and in Glastonbury. And I don't know if Melanie or Heidi, your experience of feeling Magdalene in Glastonbury, because these are texts or tales not written in the Bible, not officially approved by the patriarchy, but these legends have resonance and have strong resonance with women, and women have had profound remembrance and healing and activations based on these tales. I want to read some of the comments. Yeah, Sabina, I've always questioned the holy text depicting God. Yeah, sexual shame issues. Yes, Liz. There was jealousy. Yeah, definitely in Glastonbury. Yes. Um, I know several times I've visited the Magdalene Chapel, and the first Christ Church established in Glastonbury, and place where she ascended. I felt a deep sense of a heavy stone, um, like injustice and betrayal, and I cry. I just cannot stop crying every time I visit that land, specifically those sites. So it's a pathway of remembrance. I'm so glad that we are um, able to talk and share and share experiences of this, because I'm going to get to that later, but because it's required right now at the Abbey. Yeah, yeah. She's there everywhere. Yes, yes, she's there, right? She is here right now. So what happened was, let's talk about. Um, so after Yeshua died, so she, along with her disciples, had to flee from there, and they fled to Avalon with Joseph of Arimathea, who was the uncle of Yeshua, and he could finance a boat. Um, and they all traveled to Avalon. They spent some time there, and then Mary Magdalene moved to the south of France, where she continued her rest of the teachings. And it is also noted in that Yeshua, during his 20s, traveled to Tibet, Egypt, Glastonbury to learn. Therefore, to learn the ancient traditions, including India, and same as Mary Magdalene when she was a young girl, a little girl, and since then she was born in a very privileged family where her parents were quite wealthy, and she came from the family of Essenes. So it wasn't that she just appeared out of nowhere. Her She was destined to be this Magdalene. So her parents literally. Unlike what was available for women those days, they gave Magdalene the choice to pursue her mystery teaching. So Mary Magdalene also traveled to different places in Egypt, Tibet, learning the traditions of Isis, um, and preparing herself to the point where she will be one day teaching alongside Yeshua. So it's not that she was some kind of a maid to him, but she was teaching alongside. And that is why after Jesus is passing away, she was able to carry his ministries, and the first true light Christ church was then erected in Glastonbury based on the teachings of Jesus by the team of Mary Magdalene and the disciples, and hence the story of the chalice waters, the red waters. So again, you need to remember that there is no one right way of interpreting any kind of sacred story because it always expresses a certain point of view. However, connect and find resonance because what these sacred stories invite you is the resonance with the archetypal patterns. We are the priestesses of the 21st century, and we are awakening to an intelligence, an embodied consciousness of the divine feminine within ourselves. And she is weaving together a cohesive field for us to activate that within ourselves because now is the time. It is interesting that Mary Magdalene's Mary Magdalene's support to Yeshua's ministries has not been recorded in the traditional Bible. However, in the Bible, she is one of the most referenced women. Several information were distorted. However, as I said before, she came from a wealthy family, and she was she literally financed the missionary of Yeshua by so she was about to inherit her mother's wealth, and she chose to use that to, so they had, in those days they had big lands, so she chose to use those lands for Yeshua to bring their disciples and people who needed healing to come to those lands and perform those healing activities. It's also interesting to note that when Mary met Yeshua, they knew at that moment that yes, they were meant to take forward the teachings of the divine feminine and masculine Christ consciousness together, hand in hand. And at the time, there's an interesting story that I came across is that because at that time women being in power, like she teaching alongside Jesus was quite dangerous to her presence, so she would have been probably killed or tortured if the kings knew at that time what she was doing. So both Mary and Jesus used to teach in the lands provided by Mary Magdalene's family, and people from all over the world, all over the area around at the time would visit them with their issues and requirements for healing. And Yeshua used to create a field of resonance where that he was really good in casting circles. So everyone who entered the circle um, came and experienced the transmission of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And when they left this circle, the field of transmission, they had no memory of any healing received by this woman. Because even at that time, people were resistant to even giving women that authority. And however, this was important for protecting Mary Magdalene's presence at that time. Lars Moll, yes, I like Lars Moll's secret teachings of Jesus, and there's a lot of inclusion about Mary's gospel as well. Yeah, Kashmir. Yes, Melanie. Yes, I also have heard about Jesus visiting Kashmir area. For his teachings in his 20s. And you see, these things are not recorded. The Bible does not give any account of what he did, what Jesus did in his early years before he started his ministry. So there must have been a space, yeah, where he learned things from. So it is interesting to note that Jesus and Mary Magdalene, they were teaching, they were creating their inner circle of disciples, and then they also had their outer circle of disciples, and they were training more and more people at that time to hold a big container because the word was spreading, and no wonder she was the first one to see Jesus resurrected. Yeah. It's also interesting to note in some. It has been noted in some of the texts that um, that both Mary Magdalene and Jesus, they could travel different astral planes, and hence they also knew the future. They knew that in the future, what they were doing right then was important for the evolution of human consciousness, which is why they had devoted their lives to this missionary. And they knew that they were going to be, the Christ, Christ's teaching, Jesus' teaching would turn into this patriarchal thing, and Magdalene would be given the label of a prostitute. And then they knew all of this, and they knew that they had to still carry on the work, and um, they could see the future, and they knew the future, and then they knew that there will be a second coming, and they knew their work at that time, and that was their dedication, and it went hand in hand. So it was also that so it went hand, their work went hand in hand. It wasn't like the masculine was better or the feminine was better. It was the consciousness and the sacred union. And interesting, Mary's original name was Mariam, just like Yeshua's Jesus' original name was Yeshua. And the Magdal title was given to any woman at the time, specifically if you come from an Essene family. And Magdalene pretty much meant the watchtower, or in some Essene languages, the chosen one, which is why I feel like if we are present here, feeling calls to her teachings and feeling called to her path, we are also the chosen ones, the watchtowers, and we have a responsibility to, I'm not saying to take her teachings forward, but we have a responsibility to resurrect those aspects within ourselves, because in doing so, we will create the ripples. So she was the chosen one who anointed Yeshua, and which in turn activated his light body consciousness. And Yeshua was the chosen one who in turn opened the 7 heaven gateways in her, which corresponds to the 7 chakras, not the 7 demons as mentioned in Bible. So it was only after she had washed Yeshua's feet with her tears and dried them with her hair that he was initiated into the essence of his task for ascension. And it was only after Yeshua started performing, after that, Yeshua started performing the washing rituals to his disciples. So you see, they both were required for the ministry to grow together. And it was only then Yeshua also proclaimed that only the one who is capable of serving can be the true master, which again was not something specifically patriarchy would like to follow, looks like. Anyways, so she was a companion and priestess to Jesus's ministry, and also known as the guardian of blood, which is why you will see her holding the chalice or the red egg, and her red attire as well. She symbolizes the color red and blue in some of the other depictions. So it was Mary and few other awakened women who actually followed Yeshua and his disciples, and who sponsored and contributed financially to his mission. So, as I said, they worked side by side. So the news was spreading, the healing was happening, and people started coming. Women were coming, and they would sit in circles of disciples, initiating priests and priestesses, creating a high vibe container for this woman, Mary, to do the healing work. So It was also known that Yeshua and Magdalene went into the bridal chamber, as they said, and as they say, and performed Hero's Gamas. Now, this was a sacred sexual act of sacred marriage, of the union of the masculine and the feminine. And this, again, um, was something that they did it in a very conscious way because they both have learned the Egyptian teachings from the Isis lineage. And if you look into the Egyptian lineage of and the Greek lineage of Heroes Gammas, then you would know that conscious sexuality and coming in sacred union was an act of ascending to the higher realms of consciousness. So, and divine union. So together they birthed the Christ consciousness, and Yeshua's work was mostly the outward, teaching miracles and ultimate sacrifice and crucifixion, whereas Magdalene's work was more inward, being the concert and holder of the mysteries, um, the Holy Grail, and she was holding those space to activate the DNA that could be seeded throughout the planet. So this was a beautiful combination of the yin and yang, divine incarnation, I would say. So in Tantra, there is a concept that through repeated sexual union, we take on the karma of our partner. And this is also echoed in various ancient lineages. And this was also one of the um, intentions in coming together in sacred union so that they could activate the masculine feminine Christ